I'm actually paying for the pleasure of driving this car for that amount of time. The true cost unplugged. Welcome to my car. Hello there guys, my name is Patricia. Welcome to The Break. We're over here giving you the tools and resources to learn, grow, navigate life like a boss and make money moves in the process. I hope you are doing well. So you're gonna need to get your pen and your paper and your calculators because we're gonna get into the money. We're gonna be talking the stats and I'm gonna be TMIing again and giving you my numbers because today I want to explore the cost of actually leasing or financing a car versus actually buying a car outright. I've done both and I think they definitely have pros and cons besides each options. Firstly, I got a beautiful convertible Mercedes-Benz E-Class. I put £30,000 down cash. Actually, it was a year old. I put cash down on that car. I drove away with the drop top down. It then started raining because I live in England. I put that drop top back up. Never used it again. Maybe only like once or twice. And then I sold it a year later for £18,000. So it lost £12,000 in 1 year. Wow, it really hurt. And then I've also decided to finance a Porsche. Last year, I picked up a new Porsche Macan. I also got pregnant again just after getting this car. Maybe there's like something about being pregnant and new cars. Who knows? The car was valued at £58,000. So I decided to get this car via a financing option because I know that I'm someone who might be switching up my cars a little bit more in the future because I'm bougie like that, you know? So today I'm gonna get into all the numbers, all the costs, everything that I pay for this car, as well as talk about some of the financing options that are out there, particularly in the UK. We're gonna talk about PCP, PCH, hire purchase, and even looking at getting a loan to pick up a car. But first, can we have a little bit of car porn, please? Okay, so let's get into the numbers and the tricky part and also looking at the true cost of me leasing this car and some of the costs that you guys should also think about if you are considering getting a financing option. So my option is a PCP option, meaning that I put an initial deposit down and I pay a fixed amount of interest or fixed payment every single month, and at the end of the term of the agreement, I'll pay this final value that they think my car will be worth, or just give them the keys and say goodbye.
I almost forgot to say one of the most popular options, which is to part exchange the car and use it as a deposit for a newer car.
So I put £17,000 down as a deposit. Yes, that's a relatively high deposit because the car is a relatively expensive car, but it was something that was within my affordability. I actually put over more than 10% because I wanted to get my monthly repayments down low. So on a monthly basis, I pay £450 towards this car every single month. And I'm going to be paying this over the next 36 months. And this is at a 7% APR. And now that I've done a little bit of research, I actually don't think that's a really amazing APR. It's not the best deal when it comes to actually getting a loan. To me, this is now relatively expensive. And I think anything between 4 and 6% is a better option, in my opinion, when it comes to looking at an APR for a car finance. But I will be paying this £450 over the next 36 months. So taking into consideration my actual deposit and also the amount that I pay over the next 36 months, I'm actually paying £944 for the pleasure of driving this car for that amount of time. The true cost unplugged. Deposit plus payments plus interest is at the actual cost you're paying per month for a car that you're leasing. And you do need to also think about some other considerations. So those are my costs associated with having a car that is worth about £58,000, which is just over probably $70,000 for all my Americans watching. So let me go ahead and talk about some of the different finance options that are out there. And I'm just gonna give you like a broad view of what they are. And then I'll talk about the pros and cons of financing versus potentially buying. So I talked about PCP, which is the option that I have, and this is where you basically pay a deposit and then you'll continue to make payments throughout the terms of your contract, and then you have this guaranteed future value at the end. So this balloon payment at the end is called the guaranteed minimum future value, and this is what the dealer believes that if you stay within the limits that are set within your contract, this is what the car should be worth at the end of the agreement. Basically, you have to return the car in good order. However, most people, and the most common action that most people take when they have a PCP option, is that they use the equity on that car as a deposit for a new car, and then they continue the process of getting a new car and getting a new car and getting a new car. But until you make that payment at the end, you never own the car. Now, if you have an option like this, you are expected to potentially stay within a certain mileage. You're also, responsible for any damage that happens to the car. And what your goal is to retain the value of the car as much as you possibly can to make sure you're hitting that guaranteed future value price. And now that I look at this is definitely the finance industry and the car industry trying to come up with a way for people to continually get new cars every 3 to 5 years, which isn't necessary, to be honest, but a lot of people do look at these options nowadays. Back in the day, I'm sure people used to have cars for like 10 years and whatever because they used to drive that long, but I feel like you're seeing that less and less. Now, if you are looking for getting a PCP option, this is a financing option. So you will have to have a credit check to see if you're even eligible to get that amount of credit out. If your credit is not so great, you might not be able to get this option when it comes to financing. What a lot of people don't realize is that actually PCP can end up being more expensive over the total period of time when it comes to owning the car. This is because some of the APRs can be a little bit higher, and they do like to add a few little costs when it comes to wear and tear at the end of the agreement. When it comes to choosing PCP or the next option I'm going to talk about, you really want to work out if you really want the car at the end of the agreement, if you're someone who's going to look at maybe switching it out later every 3 to 5 years. That is something that's really important to consider. If you think you're someone who's going to be changing your car a lot, PCP might be the way to go. Okay, so the next option I wanted to talk about is so it's similar, but actually the amount that you're paying every single month is actually towards the total value of the car. And at the end of the term, you're able to own the car outright. So you put a deposit down in the very beginning, and then the payments that you're making are going towards the total cost of the car. So every single month, all of the money that you're putting towards the car is towards paying it off entirely. And at the end of the agreement, you should own the car outright. Usually these are fixed interest rates. So whatever you're paying per month is whatever you're paying per month. It should not fluctuate. So you're able to make this work within your budget and make sure that it is affordable for you from year 1 to year 5. If you don't have a good credit score, it might be difficult to get an option like this because again, this is a finance option and they will do a credit check on you. And there normally aren't any restrictions when it comes to mileage or wear and tear because you are going to be the owner of the car at the end of the agreement. However, you do not own the car until you've made the final payment again, so it can be repossessed. It can be an expensive option if you decide that you want a new car or a different car during the terms of your agreement, because really you still need to pay off that entire car, own it, and then sell it once you've done that. Future Patricia checking in. I realized I didn't record about PCH, so I'm going to go ahead and share a bit about that now. So PCH is very similar to PCP, but it is actually a version of leasing or long-term renting. You are basically renting the car without the option of ownership at the end. So you'll pay an initial deposit and then you pay the payments within the middle, and at the end of your agreement you will hand your keys to the car and say thank you for the privilege of driving this and walk away from the deal. And that is something, if you get a PCH option, that you're probably aware of. You simply rent the car for the terms of your agreement, which may be anywhere between 2 to 5 years, and then you hand the keys back. Where you lose out is that you don't even have the option to buy the car, even if you wanted to. Once you give the keys back to the people who have leased it to you, or the car company who's leased it to you, they are more than likely to sell that car on and make a profit, and you kind of leave with nothing even though you've made those payments. However, the monthly payments when it comes to PCH are a little bit lower because again, you're not getting a share of the ownership. ownership or the share of the equity, so your payments can be slightly lower. Now, when it comes to having PCH, it's very similar to PCP in that you will have to stick to some terms when it comes to mileage or wear and tear for the car. So you must stay within the limit that is set within your contract, and every time you exceed that limit, you are of course required to pay a fee or a fine for the privilege of doing that. So you really need to, in the beginning of the contract, be clear on how much you think you're going to be using your car. So no long distance road trips. So some other alternative options when it comes to leasing a car is things such as getting out a personal loan. You might be able to get some really great loan deals right now from the banks at really low percent, and it depends on what the term is or the APRs are, but it could be lower than what the car financing options are, and you can use that money towards paying for a car straight off the back right now and just paying that loan back. Again, you need to be cautious about getting bank loans out. Okay, so let's look at some of the pros versus the cons when it comes to hiring or leasing a car over buying it. So the pros of leasing a car is that if you have a car that you can't afford, then you can afford it via finance. I also think that this is a con. If you can't afford it, why are you getting it? Is it for, what's the reason? What's the reason, okay? Maybe you're getting a van, maybe you're getting something for work, maybe you're getting something nice and you just don't have the right money for it now. You need to be sure why you're getting a car that you can't afford. If you can't save, why are you spending that money? Another option is that if you're someone who you are really into style and you really want a really nice car and you want to be able to change your car regularly, then of course, financing it is going to give you the options that allow you to keep buying new cars all the time. If you have, rather than putting a lump sum down of £50,000 on a car, you might use that money far more productively somewhere else to make more money. So getting a car on finance means that you can choose affordable payments, but use your other money on other products more effectively. And actually, you might not want to put that full amount down right now today. It might not be necessarily, particularly if you don't know, where you're going to be in the next 3 to 5 years. Why make such a big investment into a car that you might have to sell later on? So what are the pros and cons when it comes to buying? I really think that buying is a great option if you've got the available cash. Cut your cloth according to your size. You don't need to get an £80,000 Mercedes, Patricia. It's not really that necessary. And people who drive really big and really expensive cars normally have quite a lot of disposable income. They have lots of extra cash and are like, okay, let me splash some cash on a car. And I think everybody can do that if that's what they want to do. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're not in that position, don't do it. I know people who have bought their cars for £3,000 to £5,000. They saved up, and the thing that you have when you buy a car outright is peace of mind, particularly if you don't get a really expensive brand new car. I definitely think you have peace of mind, and actually older cars hold their value more. If you don't know that, as soon as you drive a new car off the forecourt, boom, I can hear the buzzer going boom, like lost value, boom, 5,000 down the drain, boom. It literally loses so much value as soon as it drives straight off the forecourt. So why not get a car that is 2 or 3 years old if you really want to look at buying a car outright? So to be honest, I really think that the main thing you want to look at when it comes to buying or leasing a car is affordability. If you can afford to buy a car for £5,000 to £20,000 cash, you don't need that money for something else. You don't want any debt, you save towards it. Buy the car outright. If you know you want a fancy car, and if you know you can afford the payments and you're ready to swallow those costs that are associated with it, then why not do that? What you really want to know is what is the true cost of buying or leasing your car, and being sure that you're going to be able to afford it for the foreseeable future. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and a little peek into my car. I'm gonna be a walking oxymoron, to be honest with you, because I know I talk about saving and being efficient, but I like nice things. I like them, and I work hard and I think I deserve it. So yeah, new car pending at some point in time, who knows. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all later. Bye.